Hey everybody, it's Mr. Fleece here and I'm back with the second video to our fundamentals of drawing exercise. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to properly shade, add value to the three-dimensional forms that we have drawn. What's the purpose of drawing basic shapes and basic forms? Well, it's important for artists to be able to recognize the basic shapes and forms that make up complex drawings. For instance, when an artist is getting ready to try and draw something very complex, it's easy for the artist to look at the object and break it down into its basic shapes and basic forms. Once we learn how to draw those forms and shapes correctly, we can then learn how to shade those forms correctly, and that will help an artist improve their observational skills and translate to improving their drawing skills. That's the purpose for this exercise. Let's get in it. Wow! A couple of tools that you're going to need is you're going to need a white vinyl eraser. This is one I prefer to use, a white vinyl eraser when I'm working in drawing. We will also use a ebony pencil to do our shading. So the first thing is we need to go in and we need to remove some of the guiding lines we used. In the cube, we are going to take out this line right back here, this line right here, and this line here. What that's gonna do is it's gonna take away those lines, and what are you left with? The front of the box, the side of the box, and the top of the box. In the cylinder, we're going to remove this height guiding line in the center, and same on the pyramid. I'm going to remove those guiding lines like so. So let's start with our sphere. The first thing we need to do is get comfortable with the pencil in our hand. Unlike writing, we're not going to hold the pencil like this. We're going to try and push the pencil down and use it towards the end. This is going to create more consistency in your shading. It's also going to remove harsh lines, and it will be a little bit easier to adjust the value. Using the value scale that we've created, the darkest part of our sphere is going to be over here in the 8. And because a sphere is rounded, it's going to be a gradual transition from dark to light. So I'm going to set my light source. My light's going to be shining in from this corner. So this is going to be the lightest part of my sphere, and this is going to be the darkest. So I'm going to adjust my paper so it's comfortable in my hand, and I'm going to start by lightly shading my entire sphere. And I like to try and curve my shading lines with the shape that I'm drawing. So because I'm drawing a sphere, my lines are going to have a slight curve to them as well. Don't worry about going outside of the lines. I want you to focus more on creating this gradual pressure. Now that I have kind of a soft light tone laid in, I can go in and start adding my darker tones. I'm going to move my pencil in kind of a circular motion to create more consistency with my layering. I'm going to lighten the pressure as I work my way to the light side of the sphere. Just like that. Now I'm going to continue to add layers. So now I've got a nice gradual transition from a dark value up here to a lighter value. I might go in and add just a slightly darker value here on the end, the opposite side, just like so, with a few more layers. Background is going to add emphasis to your shading. So it's always important to add a little bit of a background to the object that you're shading. So my light source is coming in like this. So my shadow angle is going to be parallel on the opposite side with my light source. So my shadow is going to be a dark value as well. So this is how I would go in and add my shadow. I'm going to also set in just a little bit of a surface for my sphere to rest on. On the darker side, there's going to be light that's coming behind my sphere. So this is going to have a little bit lighter value because there's light shining, casting behind my sphere. And same on this side. My value is going to be darker than my sphere, but it's still going to be lighter than my shadow. Over here, I'm going to add a little bit to the wall or the background, whatever's behind the sphere. But I want to make that slightly lighter than my surface, just so it easily shows that, because light's going to be hitting the back of there too. As I work my way around the sphere, it's going to start to get a little bit darker. So my background value is going to push my sphere forward. And this is how you can use background to control your value. The value in the background is just as important as the value in the foreground. So I want you to add just a little bit of background. It doesn't have to be a lot of background, but just a little bit of background to help capture your sphere. So now I'm gonna set the light source for my cube. I'm gonna make my cube light source shine in here at the bottom. So it's gonna hit the front of my cube. So the front of my cube is gonna be a light value. The more you practice this, the stronger you will become. This side's not catching any light, so it's going to be a dark value. So there's the side of my cube. And the top of my cube is going to be a medium tone. I want it to be darker than the front of my cube, but not quite as dark as that side. My shadow is actually going to be behind my cube. You might see a little bit of it shining here. This is going to be a little bit lighter tone along the side, being able to travel down here without obstruction. The front's going to be slightly darker to show the cube, the bottom of the cube there. So now you can start to see how value can transform that three-dimensional shape. So when I move on to my cylinder, the cylinder is rounded on the front, so it's gonna work more like the sphere. It's going to be a dark value along the bottom. And as I work my way up, it's gonna get lighter and lighter towards the top. Now I've got kind of that rounded value. Light's gonna hit the front, so this is gonna be more of a lighter value across the front. Now I've got my cylinder shaded. I need to add in the shadow, which is gonna be kind of a parallel to my light source. So now I've got a nice cylinder taking place. This is gonna be a light value in between. It's gonna be slightly darker than my cube. So there you have your cylinder, your cube, and your sphere. Now lastly, I'm gonna have us practice our pyramid. We're gonna set our light source over here. This is gonna be a lighter value, and this is going to be a darker value. Shadow's gonna come off the front. And this is how you shade the 4 basic forms, set a light source, create a shadow, and a little bit of background to help you draw the 4 basic forms with value. Thanks everyone for watching how to add value and shade basic forms properly. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye.